Welcome to Beyond the Lights. And we have a special treat for you today. We're having a double feature as we have our first group come and discuss how culture and sports has reproduced, produced, and transformed culture and society. And then we're going to come back with our second group and we're going to discuss how sports has impacted the major spheres of life, such as family, religion, politics, media. So sit back and enjoy, and welcome to Beyond the Lights.
Hello, my name is Dajay Pearson. I'm from Hampton, New York. I have my bachelor's in team and project management from Brown University, where I played football and lacrosse undergrad. Here at Hampton University, I play on the men's lacrosse team.
My name is Terrace Sanders. I'm from Binghamton, New York, and I'm a graduate of Hampton University, and I'm currently the Director of Player Development with men's basketball.
My name is Kayla Damone, and I'm from Florida. I got my undergraduate in sports management, and I'm on the softball team.
My name is Lonnie Jones, so I'm from New Rochelle, New York. My undergrad was here at Hampton University, and I play on the lacrosse team.
My name is Lauren Van Arsdale. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. I got my undergrad here at Hampton University in psychology pre-med, and I am on the women's basketball team.
Okay, so today we will be speaking about the effects of sports culture, society, and the important role it plays in producing and reproducing transformation in culture and society. So in class we have discussed that sports are a universal element found in all cultures. They provide young people with experience, fun, good physical health, as well as opportunities for social interactions and skills necessary for participating in society. So my question for y'all is, we spoke about what it does for society, but what exactly is sports culture?
So for me, when I think about sports culture, I think it's like a team's values or like their attitudes and beliefs about their sport or what they do.
So, do you feel like sport culture is the same as team culture?
No, I don't think so. I think because there's individual sports and then team sports, so it could be different for both.
So what's the difference between both?
I mean, a team is like, they all value or they try to value the same thing, like winning or being a family. And then if you play an individual sport, it's like just for you, like an individual like thing, you know.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
I would say I think the difference between sport culture and team culture is a team culture is something that's built within a certain unit within the sport. So if I'm on one team, our culture may be different from your culture, depending on what you are, what you think is important for your team. Whereas sport culture is something that everyone who plays a sport kind of falls under this umbrella of, like, this is how we do things in this particular sport. So it changes from between, like, hockey will be different than basketball or track or boxing. Like, the norm is not the same in each sport.
Yeah, but I feel like all sports culture, like every sport gives its athletes and participants like something, some sort of culture to take from it. And I feel like that goes with like, you know, discipline, learning to, you know, take constructive criticism and coaching well. That involves in like also just like being like a leader before you're a follower, learning like the tools necessary to survive in life, like certain life skills that sports gives you that other things do not. What were you about to say?
I was just gonna say that sports culture, I think, is more of like broader, and then when you get into the team, it's more narrow, like aspects, like specific aspects of like what the team does and stuff like that. But the sport can be like you said, basketball. We could all have, you know, things that we do, but then men have specific things they do, women have specific things they do.
So, like, sports culture is what we take away, like, from sports. Like we learn how to work with people that we might not like necessarily like, you know, but they're like a part of the a team. Like, so we have to figure out how to work with them. or like, toughness and hard work and like perseverance. Like that's what a sports, a culture is basically.
So what is like a specific situation that y'all feel like y'all all, took from like sports culture? Like he said, like something that y'all learned.
Well, I think for me personally, on the basketball team, the culture when I came in was winning. They had been to the NCAA tournament a few times. They had won the MEAC several times. So I think that was kind of culture. That was the culture that I walked into. Was like championship. We gonna get after it. We trying to go after one thing, and that's the ring.
I think one thing I took from playing basketball was actually really disliking my coach all through high school. And but I love basketball, so I have to deal with them. I can't, especially in my younger years, I was definitely one who would lash out when I got mad, and I had to figure out how to not do that in order to play basketball. Otherwise, it'd be over for me in sports. So I think I took that from those younger years and essentially having basketball taken away from me, and now I'm able to deal with people who might get on my nerves and not lash out and kind of just accept it and be like, because now it's not basketball, it'll be a paycheck or something like that. So it helped me learn how to deal with that side of me.
I feel like the sport culture here for Hampton softball team is like family and being there for each other. And so the school that I previously transferred from wasn't like that. So I think getting used to that is pretty cool. Have everybody care for each other and be there for each other.
Me personally, I think like the biggest thing that I took away from sports culture is just perseverance. Like life is hard. We all know that. And there's no better way to deal with loss and setbacks than through your passion, which is sport. So I definitely learned a lot through that side of sports culture.
I feel like I've learned a lot here from sports culture, coming from different programs. We're still kind of a young culture program here, playing men's lacrosse, but it's still opportunity for a lot more. Especially being a part of HBCU and lacrosse, there's not a lot of people of color who play lacrosse anywhere in the world. So I feel like this is an opportunity to be a part of something much bigger, and it gives us opportunity to create a culture on the team for once. A lot of teams in college sports are together are already established, so it kind of gives you the opportunity to pave your own way and be a part of something much bigger than yourself that could carry on for generations. Especially in lacrosse where there's a couple of teams that's starting to come up with their own teams in HBCU where BSU just got their own coach, so it's becoming more a trend, and it's becoming kind of wave. So being a part of that first wave it's something different and feels unreal to be a part of, especially at this phase of the world we are in when a lot of things are previously established.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, we've been talking about sports culture and all that, and we all love sports, that's why we're here. But there's a bad side to everything. And when I was doing research, so I found a few of the negative things that sports culture brings, and the main one that stood out to me is that it creates a hive mind mentality. So for example, the loyalty of the unit can take precedence over your morals. For example, football is a great example. They have a lot of domestic violence, cases and sexual abuse cases, but it's rare to ever see the team turn on somebody. Which in sports that's great, but in real life, you can't condone that behavior, and you can't ride with these people on a daily basis. But that's a part of the culture that sports creates. That's your brother, but right is right and wrong is wrong, and the hive mentality can blur those lines quite a bit. So I just wanted to see like if you guys had any like thoughts on like that, or like like knew any different like negative sides of sports culture.
I feel like that also goes with kind of like, that's also like beyond them as like athletes, because when situations like that happens, it's not one person being highlighted, it's the team being highlighted. So like you just said, like you hear like football player this did this, football player did that, but you won't hear like, oh, this person specifically did this, but they're just a part of this team. The whole team is being put under that one spotlight. So it's like that's where they have to, be as one, but like they're not allowed to speak out about it. Like maybe one person may have not been involved at all, but they're not allowed to go up like say like I had nothing to do with that, like and speak their piece because they put under that one spotlight. So they have to stick together in those type of situations. Not to say it's okay, but they're just not allowed to use their voice because of that. And usually when you come from institutions like this, private institutions, like they don't want you speaking to the media at all to like even like give your voice. So you don't have a voice really to speak out about certain situations. So you have to just let the authorities do what they do and like let them like take its course.
No, yeah, and like speaking out is like different. I don't mean that. Like a perfect example, Chase Scanlon, Syracuse lacrosse player, beat his girlfriend, I think it was 2 years ago, and the school really didn't give him any like punishments. So Chase was showing up to practice like still every day, and then the team petitioned like, look, like I can't be with him like 3 hours a day, 2 sessions a day. Like if he's here, then like we can't like practice, which got him like removed like from the team. And me personally, I feel like that's right, because like me, I'd rather not have that poison on my team in the first place. And I feel like a lot of programs lose like that opportunity to get rid of the poison for the sake of loyalty. You know what I'm saying?
So what should you schools do in those type of situations?
It's a great question. I wish I had all the answers.
What were you about to say?
No, I was just saying I agree with what you were saying. Like I feel like respect for the team should come over, oh, that's my friend, or that's my, that's my buddy. What's right, like you said, what's right is right, and what's wrong is wrong. So.
I'll add in, I won't necessarily say devil's advocate, but when you're talking about this stuff, this is stuff that happens in everyday life. I don't think anybody in any aspect of life is really trying to tell on anybody else for anything, unless that's just how you were brought up. I can say, like, for example, for myself, I used to work in a group home for adults with mental health issues, and you can hear about somebody doing something, and you can only say so much if you haven't seen it yourself. And it's very hard to, especially if that person is above you, then you say something and it's not proven. Now all of a sudden they're messing with you all the time, and there's really nothing you can do about it. So I think it's kind of, maybe it could be because I played sports and I'm from the do your job type of era, not stop worrying about everybody else and just get paid and get out of there type stuff. But when that was happening with me, I couldn't really say anything until I saw something actually happening, and then I could say, no, I saw this happening. And for me in that field, you become very close with these people that you're taking care of, so then it actually becomes personal, and you want to handle it for real. So I just think, yeah, that's something in sports, but I don't think that's something that is specifically in sports. It's just when you're around people all the time, you're either going to hold them down or you're not. So it kind of, I guess, depends who it is, and you go from there.
I feel like a lot of these situations also involve race too. Because like we had a situation at my undergrad where a full player, he was a rookie, freshman, started QB, won like numerous rookie league week accolades, It was actually regularly for our conference, but there was a situation where a woman had came to light saying that she had hit him. Well, he had hit her. And then there was like words and rumors about a couple other females saying the exact same thing. And usually if this was anyone else, like a man of color, they would have got removed from the campus immediately, and then it would just been taken from there. But this kid, fortunately enough, he's still playing football. He's still there, continuing to play and do his thing after all like the rumors and slander. So that could be, in my opinion, race plays a big part of that as well.
Yeah, I can see that.
Any further comments towards that topic?
Yeah, no, not the negative topic.
So how do y'all feel about sports culture and how that's affected you in life outside of sports?
I feel like, yeah, just like the perseverance like aspect, like I said before. But I mean, does anybody else have an answer to that question?
I feel like I've gained a lot from sports culture, like over the years. Like I feel like sports have taught me a lot. Like you said, like persevering, like through being at your like lowest lows to like your highest highs, to teach you how to be humble yourself when you're at your highest highs, and then continue to stay the course when you're at your lowest. So I owe honestly everything to sports. Like it teaches me how to follow before I could lead, and vice versa, be a leader as well. So I feel like it just teaches me it taught me how to navigate through multiple atmospheres in different like areas. So I feel like personally, like teach me how to like survey like the room before like I speak, or like before like I make any particular moves. So I've learned a lot personally.
So we talked about sports culture in like class a lot, and one of the topics that keeps popping up is how sports can mirror like life, like in a lot of ways. And like in my opinion, I feel like so in certain ways, sports culture becomes pop culture. So like whatever like LeBron is doing, or like whatever he's like wearing, or whatever he's talking about, becomes bigger. And like the same thing with all these other stars, and like whatever sneakers they're wearing, or like whatever they're talking about, it becomes like the new hot topic, like almost. So what other ways like do you guys think that sports culture like has like an impact on society as a whole?
I think that just so many people watch sports that if somebody in sports has something to say, then everybody's gonna hear about it. Sort of like LeBron, like you mentioned LeBron, the shut up and dribble stuff. Like, like when that was said, I think that changed a lot of people's perspective on athletes right there, the more than athlete movement, because a lot of athletes, I know I just saw it on Instagram the other day, somebody was showing like a bunch of like Pro Bowl level football players and what their GPA was in, I don't know if it was high school or college, but it was like 3.7, 3.8, 3.9, like, so these dudes are not just brutes just running around like gladiators or something. They're intelligent people, and I think that sheds light on what we all are is more than just a basketball player, softball player, lacrosse player. We're better than that. So I think, again, that's just an example of sports shining light on what we all could be.
To play a devil's advocate just a little bit with what you just said. Like I feel like it's no secret that like a lot of, especially like football players, but high level, so student athletes who like know that they're getting like to the next level when they're like in their college years. Like they tend to study like the easier majors, and they get a lot of leeway there too. You know what I'm saying? So those grades may not always really like represent the intelligence level that they have, you know. So when it comes to things like that, you know, like, should we really be like listening to these guys on topics that they're not like masters of? You know what I'm saying? Like if it's like football, 100%. But if we're talking about politics, you know, I don't really want to take my view on politics off of somebody who's been like taking hits his whole life.
I feel like that's up to like the person's like discretion. Like you have to know how credible your source is where you get your information from. But like as you were saying, how like sports is like kind of like involved in like pop culture. I feel like we're kind of like transitioning into a new world where like a lot of athletes are becoming those type of people who are like majoring in the political sciences, and like we have like a lot of athletes trying to become like the new lawyers and doctors of the world. So they becoming like they're setting like a new trend in that sense, and that's something that like I feel like the athletes are kind of like enforcing the younger generation to do, rather than everyone kind of like go to college and major in communication or just like or physical athletics. Yeah. Like it's not like that may not be what every athlete goal is. It's kind of transitioning to more, you know, other branches in different areas. But yeah, we're kind of short on time, so that concludes our discussion today of sports culture. Thank you for watching.
Hello everybody, my name is Emily Workman. I am a graduate of Hampton University, where I obtained my Bachelor's of Science in Kinesiology. I am currently pursuing my Master's in Sports Administration, and our group today will be discussing the importance that sports plays on major spheres of life. And the rest of you guys, you want to introduce yourself real quick?
My name is Emily Keppel. I'm from Dayton, Ohio. I got my undergrad here at HU in bio pre-medicine, and I'm on the softball team at Hampton.
My name is Jasmine Forte. I went to Grambling State University, and I got my degree in mass communication, and I play basketball.
My name is Julia Smith, and I am also a grad student here. I got my undergrad at Virginia Wesleyan University in sports management with a minor in business, and I'm also on the softball team.
My name is Jordan Poindexter from Richmond, VA. I'm an undergrad at Virginia Military Institute, and I'm a sprinter on the men's track team here.
Awesome. So today, to first start off, let's kind of talk about our backgrounds in sports, how we got started, what got you started, and what kind of kept you playing. Emily, you want to start us?
Yeah, so I've been playing softball since I was 4 years old, and I've really been in it all my life, but then also growing up, my family kept me involved in other sports as well, so I was a three-sport athlete in high school as well. So.
Oh, okay. Bouncing off Emily, I also played softball when I was 5. My whole family grew up playing a bunch of sports. I played field hockey, basketball. My brothers played a bunch of sports. My mom played a bunch of sports growing up too. That's about it. Definitely a sports family.
For sure.
Yeah, so I started playing sports when I was around 5 or 6 years old. I can't really remember. I played baseball, basketball, and football. Basically just did it for the fun of it, and as I got older, I started to eliminate each sport as I got older. So like when I got to high school, I stopped playing football, stopped playing baseball, and I found a passion for track. So that's how I came up with sports.
I've been playing basketball. I started kind of late, but my mom forced me because I'm so tall. So yeah, but I like it now.
Yeah. Kind of the same as you said. I started playing around when I was 4 years old. My family was very big. The main sport in my family was basketball. So whenever I kind of stepped away from basketball and started playing softball, my family was kind of like, "What are you doing?" Like my aunt had a history playing with Pat Summitt at Tennessee, so basketball was huge. Sports were definitely a big thing for me growing up, though, whether that was going to the t-ball games with my older brother or playing out there as the younger little girl out there with them running around. Sports for me were always huge growing up. So our next question is, how do you believe that family has an impact or an influence on your participation of children or teens in sports? Do you feel like your family growing up them playing sports, did that influence you to kind of play, or did you kind of like take your own stab at it, find a sport maybe because your friends were playing? What do you guys think?
So for me, my family is really motivated me to get into sports and really take it serious. I had cousins who ran track, but they never graduated. So I'm the only man in my family who went to school, graduated, and played a sport. So I feel like family was a big motivation for me to keep pushing and stick with track.
Yeah, I could definitely say the same. My mom grew up playing softball, tennis, swim, basketball. I think she kind of just like enforced that on us, but also we found the joy in it too. So it was not like, oh, you had to do this, you had to do that. My siblings also played a lot of sports. I think all of us played about 4 sports growing up. So once you get older, like it's fun still. I think it's still pretty fun, but it gets to that point where you're like, okay, like I'll probably do the same thing with my children and have them playing sports too. So I think it's just generational type of thing.
Right.
My situation was very similar as Julia's. My dad grew up playing high school baseball and basketball, but then he was a catcher too, so y'all two know I catch, and then my younger sister catches as well. But he definitely had a big influence on all of us because I have 5 younger siblings, and all of us are involved in at least one or more sports. But then the 2 siblings closest to me in age are also in collegiate athletics as well. So.
My dad is 6'7", so yeah, he wanted me to basketball like him. But excuse me. Other than that, it was really just my dad. Everybody in my family's tall, but like my dad the only one who played basketball. And then once I like realized I could play and get school paid for, that's when I took it serious.
Well, that too. Yeah, family for me has always been huge. So whether that was being able to look out into the crowd and see that my dad or my mom was sitting out there when she was here with us, sports for me allowed my family as another way just to really like show that we had support from everybody. And I thought that that's interesting too, being now that we're on like a college team, all of us now kind of have that sense of family that we find, even if for me, like I'm from Tennessee, so my family isn't always able to come to every game, but knowing that we have that connection that we can make with our teammates is also really cool to always have that sense of family. So rolling into our next question, what is the biggest lesson you feel that you've learned from sports growing, whether that was growing up, what you've learned here in college, anything like that?
I would definitely say like this social aspect, whether you take it as relationships or just being able to function in a group setting. I think that's one of the biggest things that I've learned from a young age, whether it was just goofing off on the field or actually getting dirty and getting the job done. I think the whole socialization of having to come together and having fun, but also for that common goal is something that you kind of take in other environments as well, like the workforce, other relationships outside of sports, all that kind of stuff.
I would say the biggest lesson for me is probably like dealing with adversity and like stress. You know, we all of us are athletes here, and we spend hours and hours practicing, working hard. Even when we tired, we still got like common goals. So for instance, when in high school, our common goal is to get to college and get school paid for it. So if you translate that into like the real world, it just shows how you need to work hard, no matter how tired or stressed out you get, in order to be successful in life. So that's my, I think that's the biggest lesson I've learned.
Going off of how hard we work overall, my biggest lesson was just knowing my worth and not being afraid to bet on myself. After my freshman year, I transferred, and the previous school I was at, the environment was just so like, it was negative, and that affected me not only like mentally, but physically, like socially. I just would like want to go home and just like sleep, like I wouldn't want to talk to nobody, but just not being afraid to go into the transfer portal when if I was going to lose my full, whether or not I didn't know if I would have money at whatever next school I went to, but it ended up working out for the better, and just because I took that risk, I'm a lot happier.
Yeah, I basically went through the same thing as Emily, but I think I definitely learned like not to take things so personal. Like now I don't take anything personal, like because I know sports like it's basically just a business. So I think that helped me a lot.
I think the biggest thing would be building off what you said, Jordan, was learning to make it through adversity. For me, my teammates know this, I have a history of getting hurt, so have been hurt quite a bit throughout my college experience, but I think sports has really taught me that even when you're faced with hardships or things that you don't think you could get over, sports is another way that just helps you like realize that number one, there's more to sports in life, but number two, like you can get through it, you can keep playing, and that comeback is going to be even better than you were before the injury. So that's always what's important to me. The next question, let's talk a little bit about how we feel that sports influences social behavior.
I think being part of sports and a team gives you a lot of transferable skills such as leadership, teamwork, discipline, time management, accountability. And for me, in my personal experience, it definitely brought me out of my shell more. Because back like before high school, probably like middle school, I really didn't talk to anybody at all. I was so quiet and had my little like teammates I would like be friends with, but besides that, I would just go to class, do my work, and then go home. That was it. But once I got to high school and I really started branching out more sports-wise, I felt a lot more comfortable talking to other people, making new friends. And now coming here to college, I didn't know anybody out here in Virginia, and I made a lot of lifelong friendships. And I'm really happy about that.
All right. I think, and you guys are probably hearing me talk about it a lot, but I think relationships are huge, especially in the sport world, because when you start at such a young age, you kind of have to build like a common mutual trust with other people, whether it's like players, coaches, your players' families, your teammates, all that kind of stuff. It kind of forces you to get out of that uncomfortable feeling and kind of mesh with others. And I think that's something that transforms into a lot of different relationships outside of sports. So I think there's a lot of things that sports have to offer to us, besides just like showcasing our talent and knowledge for the game that we play. But I think relationships and diversity and adversity and all that kind of stuff just meshes together all in one in order for you to like have that trust to take that to other environments.
Yeah, I agree. Over time, I feel like most of my friends that I have now is like I gained from sports. Like even starting from 6 years old, I'm still friends with a lot of my teammates from when I was playing baseball, basketball, playing t-ball, baseball, and stuff like that. So I think the relationships and like Emily said, getting out the shell. I'm a very quiet person. And, I don't know. I just like the family aspect of sports. It just makes you feel good just being around the teammates, celebrating wins, going out, having fun, just little stuff like that. So.
I don't think if I played sports, I've met like a lot of different people from like a lot of different places, and I don't think I would ever met that many people without sports. So I like being able to like, it makes me feel more culture like, because I know a lot of different people like from different places. So.
I think for me too, sports was a way that allowed me to, kind of like you said, get out of my shell. As a kid, I was very energetic, had a whole lot of energy, didn't have really anywhere to run around just yet. So by playing sports, I was really able to get out of my comfort zone, meet more people. I formed a lot of really great friendships. So I think sports also has an influence of kind of in a way steering people out of trouble. So if I was kind of acting up in class, I knew that I had to get my academics done first in order to be successful on the field. So sports allowed me to focus more on my academics so that I knew going into it I was going to be more successful. That kind of leads us into our next topic of when did you realize that athletics could be significant and help in pursuing like a higher education? Did you believe that this impact helped you play more or change your love for the sport? What would you kind of say?
I remember exactly the moment for me. I was in 8th grade, and for travel ball, for softball, we played during the summer, and my dad at the time was a travel ball coach, and the rules were different back then for recruiting, so like you could really commit whenever for real. Like we had 8th graders like committing to Florida to play and stuff like that. So I had gotten a letter, like an email or something that was sent to my dad as a travel ball coach, basically from, I forget what school, I think it was Mizzou, and they were just like, hey, come out to a camp, something like that, and I was like, oh wow, like I was like, okay, like I would always play just because I loved it like so much, like I still do, I love the game, but I think it was when that really hit me, like I could definitely, like I'm good enough to do this, I could do this for real. But yeah, I do also feel like the recruiting rules are better now, that you could really take your time because what is it, like your junior year, or what is it, like you can actually start
Yeah,
talking to
talking,
schools or
yeah.
visiting.
Because there was a girl that committed to Florida at one point, 12 years old, committed to play college softball.
It's crazy.
So,
Because at
absolutely.
12, like, I'm playing. I don't know where I want to play.
Right.
I'm not making any good decisions
Right.
at 12. So, like, I just feel it's a lot better that the rules have changed. You have more time to, like, assess your situations, your options. Because, like, even then, I committed to a school in Michigan my freshman year of high school, and I'm not anywhere close to there now. So, clearly, that just wasn't thinking clearly. But I don't think it really, once I did realize I could go that far, that it changed my love for the game just because I do have a really strong passion for it. But I also, since I did commit really early, I didn't feel a ton of pressure to like, oh, I have to play really good this weekend because this and this coach is coming. But I know not everybody's story and situations are the same, so it might be different for others.
Yeah, I definitely can relate to that. I committed to a D3 school, Virginia Wesleyan, this summer going into my senior year of high school. I was definitely a little late to the whole recruiting process. And I didn't really take my education too serious. We were a stellar softball program, winning a couple of national championships and stuff like that. And I just kind of put all my effort and focus into softball and just getting better as much as I could. But then transferring here, I kind of told myself that I would focus more on my academics and just let my athletic skills do what it's got to do to keep me going. But I think education-wise, I always wanted to go to like a super huge D1 school and like get everything paid for. But as it, the tables turn, you kind of just realize that some stories are not the same. And you don't get letters from Mizzou and stuff. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, no, it was definitely a change of pace for me. Education-wise, coming here, I think I have a lot more time to focus on stuff that's going to better me outside of sports. I'm not saying that sports hasn't taken me a long way. But yeah, so I think education success is definitely more of my focus now.
Yeah, my story was similar to both of y'all. Like I said, I played sports. I was just playing sports just for the fun of it. And then ninth grade is when I received my first college letter. It was from a school. I can't remember the school. It was a small school I never heard of. I think it was like a private, I can't remember. It was a private school, but I remember when I received that letter, I was so hyped. I was taking pictures of it, posting it on Instagram. Yeah, and that kind of like boosted my confidence in the sport. And I was like, oh yeah, I gotta take it serious. I'm receiving letters in ninth grade. I wonder what I can do the next 3 years of my track career. So that's when it started for me, ninth grade.
Yeah, I don't think I started taking basketball serious until my junior year of high school, because my freshman and sophomore year, I was playing and I was like, okay, I'm good at it, but I didn't realize like I get good grades and I can go and play in college. So I think the first coach to reach out to me was coach at Kansas, I think, and I was like, and at the time I had issues, I was struggling, and I was in detention at the time when they texted me, but I was like, okay. So I told my mom, I was like, that's so good. So I'm like, okay, so then, but my grades were too bad. But I got it together.
There we go.
That
Happens. All right. We have two final questions to kind of touch on real quick, and we'll just kind of keep this brief if we want to. What do you feel the role that social media plays in sports today? Do you believe that it has social media has both a positive and a negative effect?
I think it's, I'm gonna say more positive than negative, only because, well, here's a quick story. So I downloaded, when I entered the transfer portal, my roommates were telling me, download Twitter, make a Twitter so you can, you can make your posts and you enter in the transfer portal to put yourself out there. I did that and I made like a post with all my stats, and had a lot of coaches reaching out to me and trying to offer me the extra COVID year. So I feel like it's beneficial in that way. Use it in a beneficial way, and that's why I'm here today. I made a Twitter, put myself out there, talking to a lot of coaches.
Right, there you go.
I definitely think social media has a huge impact on sports, especially for women nowadays. You hear a lot of stories about, I know we're going to get into NILs and stuff like that, but a lot of stories about all these male athletes receiving like couple $1 million deals or a couple $1,000 deals, and then you look at the women's side of it and you're not really seeing a whole lot, but then you see for girls that follow sports on social media and have that kind of background and fan base for that sense of it, you see all these girls getting like major deals and like just smiling big and having fun. It just kind of gets you to that point where you're like, I want to do that. I want to be up there. But yeah, I think social media has a pretty good impact on sports.
I would say it have more of a positive impact. It does have a negative, but going back to what you said about Twitter, I was just thinking like my Twitter is more like softball related, but I'll see coaches on there like, hey, I'm looking for whatever year, this position, like drop your videos or DM me this. I'm like, oh my gosh, and you'll see people like show their stuff. So it reaches greater amounts of people. And then I think on a negative side too, for like younger kids, you could see them like they're looking up to their idols, they're trying to do this, they're playing sports as well, but like they could also just try to like recreate what they're doing and not focus as much on like the fundamentals and stuff like that. So you gotta start really from the bottom and work your way up before you get to all the things you see on social media.
Yeah, I think that social media, I think it has a positive impact for sports, but at the same time, like because NIL deals and stuff, but at the same time, I feel like it's a lot of my friends and stuff and other athletes I know who got in trouble for posting like things they should have no business posting, and it kind of ruined their career. So I just feel like you have to be mindful of what you post, but it's positive as far as NIL deals and stuff.
I would definitely say the positive side for me is that a lot of athletes get more visibility, whether that's the NIL deals or the younger athletes being able to see the different drills and workouts that they could potentially use. Negatively though, there has been a lot of different like limiting viewers for like access to certain games where people around the world aren't always able to watch it, so that could be like subscription being required and stuff like that. So though there's always a positive and negative influence, sports are huge in the world today. Thank you guys for tuning into our podcast today. Be back for the next episode.